everyone, it's Angelica, and I wanted to come on YouTube and talk about how I was canceled and went viral because of the fat acceptance community over on TikTok this summer. I can't say I post more frequently on TikTok because I really don't. I guess I just reside more on short form platforms and Instagram stories. Sorry, I'm not very consistent with YouTube, but I feel like I am a YouTube girly because I have a diarrhea mouth and I have a lot to say. Let's get into this fiasco, if you will. Brief lore before we get into what happened this summer. I joined, or I found out about the body positive community in like 2015, and I was kind of in and out of that for a long time. And then during the lockdown, I finally decided to download TikTok in like 2021, and I found the fat acceptance community and found a lot of comfort in that. And of course, I started making the same cringy ass content as everyone else.
Damn, I wish I was swag. If only I was swag. Yo, I'm so swag right now. Oh my god. Ah!
But slowly but surely, I started feeling like I wanted to be more than like my body, or like I wanted to focus on other things besides like how much I weigh and like what I fucking look like, because it's kind of like abnormal to build your whole personality around your weight. So I started branching out and kind of like only focusing on fashion, but still like kind of being a part of the community because I had like a lot of mutuals, and it's kind of hard to be plus size and not be affiliated with like the fat acceptance or body positive communities, because like God forbid you just like exist as a chubby woman. But in 2022, I reached my highest weight. In October, I was 272 pounds, and I was not very happy with what I looked like, what I weighed. So I started, you know, just kind of building healthier habits, and weight kind of continued to fall off over the next year and a half. And while all of it was happening, I started to be recommended anti-fat acceptance content on YouTube, specifically from Megan, Ann, and Sam at Every Size. And once I started watching their content, I started to realize that I shared more of the same opinions with them than I did with the people in the fat acceptance community. So I continued to distance myself, and whenever I did post on social media, it was usually like all about fashion, which fast forwards us into April of 2024. I decided to establish, I'm so sorry for like all of this information, like I feel like I can't cut out, like it just like adds to the story. At the end of April this year, I established a primary care physician because your girl is headed towards 30 and I need to take care of myself. And I got weighed and I was 248. I was only 248, guys. That was like a huge deal for me because like I lost 25-ish pounds by myself, and I realized that I was in control of my weight and I could continue to lose more weight if I wanted to. The next month, or a couple days later basically, I decided to start taking weight loss more seriously. I started eating in a calorie deficit. I started establishing exercise routines, you know, still doing all the other healthy habits like drinking water, focusing more on protein, blah blah blah. Fast forward a couple more months. I forget exactly when it was. I guess I could look. I hate this new iPhone update. I feel like I can't fucking find anything. So on June 25th, I posted a what I eat in a day video as a plus size woman in a calorie deficit, where I talked about like, you know, my relationship with my body and shit and food and fat acceptance community. And I really felt like I had the confidence and the courage to post this because of like all of the anti-fat acceptance content I watched on YouTube from like Sam and Megan. Let's watch this super controversial video that will probably get your panties in a bunch. Sorry, a little parched. I remember going on my first diet when I was in kindergarten because my doctor told me I was overweight. So from childhood up until I would say my early 20s, I was always on some sort of diet and hated how I looked. At about 18 years old, I had my first outbreak of an autoimmune disorder, and I gained a lot of weight from being on steroids, which led me to finding the body positivity community online. During the lockdown, I started learning a lot about fat acceptance, and I fell into that community. I ballooned up to 270 pounds, thinking that my genetics were what's making me fat. It made me feel so helpless and like I was trapped in this body. And it once again made me feel like I had no control over my body and what it looked like. It made me feel resentful towards anyone that was in a smaller body. After being being involved in the fat acceptance movements for a couple of years, I started getting recommended anti-fat acceptance videos on YouTube and started watching them. I had a come to Jesus moment. It made me realize that, yeah, I was fat because of what I was eating and that I wasn't moving. My genetics was not an excuse for being my size. While that does seem kind of mean and a little harsh, it made me realize that I do have control over what I look like and how I feel about myself. Which is why at 27, I have decided to learn what a healthy lifestyle is and lose weight. For some reason right now it feels different than any diet that I've been on. I'm not stressed out and I'm not judging myself. I'm just making small changes in hopes to live the best life that I can. And I hope that you know that you can do the same thing too. So when I posted that, like I looked at the views the next day and it literally had like 500. So I was like, okay, period. Like no one gave a fuck about this video. That's like totally fine, you know? As someone that like makes content and posts shit on social media, like 80% of the time it's a flop. And you know, sometimes like 20%, you know, you get some views or whatever. So, you know, I didn't think anything of it. But then I continued to scroll on TikTok and I realized, we'll call her C. C made a video and I was like, oh, period. This is like about me, because she mentioned literally everything I said in my video. We're not gonna play C's video because I ended up like deleting it anyways, and it's really like not that interesting. It's like the same shit that everyone else is saying in the fat acceptance community. But because I'm not a little bitch, I decided to stitch her video. I think it's still up on my TikTok if you want to go see it. But I'll be 28 in March and I'm not going to be bullied on the internet. Like people in the fat acceptance community think that like the internet is high school and they need to bully and degrade everyone. So of course I'm gonna stick up for myself. Actually, right after C posted her video, I ended up messaging Megan Ann and was like, oh my god, this mutual posted a video about me and I'm freaking out and I'm so scared and I think everyone hates me and I hope everything I did wasn't evil and mean. Little did I know the storm just started. But Megan Ann was like super sweet and very nice and doing a lot of unpaid emotional labor for me, and I just appreciate her kindness. But before I did that, like I did call my best friend and I was like stressing out and I did cry a little bit because I was like, the world hates me. So I posted that video, whatever. So C ends up messaging me and is like, sends me this fucking novel and I'm like, I really don't give a fuck. So C unfollows me, I unfollow her. Then C deletes her video, which is cool, whatever. I don't give a fuck. She could have kept it up if she wanted to. But she didn't mention me by name in that video. But then I realized I'm getting a flood of hate comments on my first video that got like 500 views. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is like picking up in the algorithm or something, whatever. So I have another mutual who's not in the fat acceptance community messages me and was like, hey, I just want to let you know that someone made a video about you. And I was like, oh, well, if it's C, then like I already know. And she was like, no, it's this person named S. And I was like, S? I don't know who the fuck that is. And I gave her my number and she ended up messaging me the video from S. And I'm like, oh, I remember you, S. I remember you, S. Let's watch this video from S.
Now on, I am just going to treat every fat creator who has freshly turned into a weight loss influencer as if they've died. Yesterday, I had to block a mutual who had posted a video that I at first thought was satire. Like, they were talking about their journey from body positivity into fat acceptance as like a delusion that they were holding, that they do in fact have full control over their body and their fatness, and it's their responsibility to lose weight, and everyone else should lose weight too. So like, as far as I'm concerned, she's dead now. What anyone does with their body, it's when people start dictating to others, especially fat people, what they should be doing with their bodies that I draw the line. And it's a reminder again about why, unless it's fat liberation, it doesn't mean shit.
So guys, if you're seeing this video, it's true, I am dead. This is, I'm a ghost. I'm so rich that luckily I've been able to invest in great technology where I'm able to record myself as spirit and transform it so it looks like that I am a human being, and then I can still like go on the computer and edit things. So I am no longer here on this planet, according to the fat acceptance community. I'm with the Lord. Thank God, because it fucking sucks here. So rest in peace to me. If you've got this far, make sure you leave a gravestone emoji in the comments. See, like when all this was happening, like I was freaking out, like shaking, pissing, throwing up, shitting. But now I just think it's like literally hilarious. Like, you can't make this shit up. Like, reality is stranger than fiction. I feel like S and maybe a lot of people in the fat acceptance community, they have some sort of like hearing disorder where they can't hear correctly, or maybe it's like they can hear correctly but then their brain like warps what the words are saying. Because in my video I didn't say that all fat people need to lose weight. At the end of my video I left like a very encouraging message and I said you could do this too, because guess what, all of us, especially bitches in America, hello, bitch in America here, could use or develop healthier habits. Americans usually sit on their ass all day because we drive in cars and then we go sit at our office desks all day. We also eat hyper processed foods. We drink delicious sparkly sugary beverages. Just kidding, this is sugar-free Red Bull. I'm sure that's still bad for me in some way. It's not like heart problems run in my family or anything. You know what I mean? Like, we're all not perfect human beings, and I know fat people aren't like eating 4 servings of fruits and vegetables every single day and having the right amount of protein and only drinking water, and you know what I mean? Like, we could all improve our lives, you know? God made us in his perfect image, but guess what? God must be a mentally ill, tattooed ADHD bitch, because there's nothing perfect about me, even though I would like to think that. Sorry for all the religious talk. I am not a follower of Christ, my loves. I'm more of a spiritual person. I believe in the universe and whatever. Anyway, let's end this rant. And I just love how S also mentions that, like, it's just so funny how they're like, and she thinks she has control over her body and like what she does. It's like, yeah, I kind of do. Like, my soul resides in this meat sack and I can choose what to put in to this, my orifices. That is such a jarring and mind-boggling concept. So of course I like posted my response to S because again, your bitch is getting close to 30 and I'm not going to be bullied on the internet.
These are bullies!
And my video is like 6.5 minutes long, but I won't bore you of watching that because I feel like we've gone over the information that I talked about in this video like so many fucking times. But basically I was like, thank you for being so nice and talking about my journey in such a respectful way. In no way in my video was I like rude to fat people, or did I say anything that like every fat person should lose weight. I don't think that everyone should lose weight, you know. I am probably more liberated and believe in liberation more than the fat acceptance or fat liberation movement, because I don't care what you do with your body. I don't care what my neighbor does. I don't care what my dog does. I don't care. Like, I believe that we all have the freedom to do whatever the fuck we want. I'm not gonna hold something to your head and tell you to lose weight because I don't give a fuck what you do. I mean, I want everyone to have the best, happiest, fulfilling life that they can, but I don't have any control over that. Like, I don't stay up at night thinking about how many calories S took in, just tossing and turning, wondering how much they weigh. I don't care. Like, if I cared about what every single fat person was doing, I would be exhausted, because that's like half the US population. No tea, no shade, I'm like still technically morbidly obese. So I post my response video and I just see the views continue to grow and to grow and to grow, and I'm a Pisces and I am just like way too sensitive for my own well-being, and I just don't look at the comments. But I go to work and I give my phone to my coworkers and I was like, can you look at the comments? So I give my coworker Lexi my phone and she starts reading the comments. She's like, oh, these are actually like very supportive of you. Like, a lot of people are in favor of like what you have to say. And then she starts reading them out to me and I was like, oh wow, like I'm not going to burn in hell for eternity. People don't think I'm an evil human being. People agree that I should be able to do whatever I want and take care of my health. You know, I was just so surprised by everyone's controversial words. And like, to be honest, I was like super in shock that everyone wasn't sending me like super vulgar hate comments. I mean, they still were, but there was like a lot more positive ones than negative ones, which really surprised me. And that chaos like kind of lasted for a couple days, and I would just like put down my phone and realize that like the world continued to spin and all 9 billion people on planet Earth don't hate me. But at that moment, it just felt like the fat acceptance community's voices were like so loud that it made me feel like everyone hated me and like what I was doing was like so awful and mean. But like in my heart, like I knew, and I still know, that like I am a good human being and like what I'm doing wasn't evil or like destructive to society, even though like they made me feel like it was. And while things like started to kind of chill out, I realized like how many people unfollowed me or like blocked me that I thought were friends, especially especially like these two individuals that I really think of, like they supported my small business like so many times. They've bought so many like pieces of jewelry from me. Speaking of, if you like my labradorite toggle necklace, this is for my business Rebirth Jewelry. Use code YouTube10 to save 10% off your first order. It's also available in silver. I would send them memes every single day on like Instagram Reels and TikTok, and just to see like them block me just because I wanted to lose weight and not be a part of the fat acceptance community, it was just like so odd and kind of like hard to grasp. But I guess it means that they probably weren't actually my friends, because if you just disagree on like one thing, it doesn't mean like you can't be friends with someone. Like I have a handful of friends and a lot of us have pretty like similar political views, but not completely 100%, and it's like I'm not friends with them. Like I still love them with like all my fucking heart, even though we like slightly believe in different things. But I guess it just shows that like people in this community and some friends are like situational and aren't completely genuine, which was really hard for me to grasp because I don't make friends often. I was TikTok mutuals with Tess Holiday for like a year or so, and she ended up commenting on I think maybe my first video and said something along the lines of like, well, body positivity, fat acceptance is like, this is what it's about, blah blah blah, and she ended up unfollowing me, which I thought was like hilarious. And I will say that I do have empathy for S and C, because I feel like even maybe like 10 months ago, I think I unfollowed people because I realized that they started taking Ozempic, and maybe even like 2 years ago I would have been outraged and like posted videos about like people doing the same thing that I'm doing now, because I just remember so clearly like being in the same mindset of them. And I still like do believe in a lot of like the things fat acceptance people like talk about. Like I do believe that like fat people should be treated equally, and you know there shouldn't be like discrimination. But at the same time, like the fat acceptance community always like preaches about bodily autonomy and like they don't care what other people do with their body. But then here they are like being so fucking outraged that I talked about wanting to lose weight, and then they like continue to talk about how crazy Ozempic is when it is like a life-changing drug. Obviously I know like people can abuse it, like people that need to lose 5 pounds so they can fit into their 00 dress don't need Ozempic. I believe that like people that are overweight or have PCOS or insulin resistance, or even just like people that needed to lose weight, like should have access to it. It doesn't make someone like an evil person for wanting to use prescription drugs to help them with their health. Because you know that's what medication is for. My mom posted this quote on Facebook and I like put it in one of my dumps recently on Instagram, and it was like, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. I found that quote like a couple months after like all of this happened, and it's like that's so true. Just because like someone is pissed off or like mad at what you did or like outraged about something doesn't mean they're right. Like they can just be mad about something even though there is like no ground in like why they are upset. Like since I started, and I guess I still do watch like anti-fat acceptance, it is kind of like funny, and I was like eating it up. A couple people made a video about me. The first one is called The Cynical Dude. I think he posted it like a couple days after like all the drama happened. I didn't watch him before this, so like his followers like let me know that he posted it, and now I watch him a lot. Obese to Beast made a video about me. Megan Ann made a video about me, and then Michelle McDonald made like a Mean Girls of Fat Acceptance community video the other day, and she used like a little clip of my head was like at the bottom of the video, which I thought was funny. And it just like kind of confirms to me that I'm not a bad person or like not completely fucking insane, and you know actually take responsibility for my weight and what I eat, because I do believe in bodily autonomy. And while I know there are complicated reasons why it is harder for people to lose weight, it still is possible for all of us to lose weight. And you know I don't struggle with PCOS. I do have a handful of diagnoses, but I don't think any of them have made it any harder for me to lose weight besides my depression. That is pretty much under control now. Okay, my battery's about to die, so I just charged it for 10 minutes, so hopefully the lighting and the situation isn't that off. I guess one thing that's like kind of embarrassing about being in the fat acceptance community is that like people remember all the things that you said that you posted online. One of my good friends got like one of the gastric sleeve surgeries at the beginning of the year, and she recently told me that she was scared to tell me because of like all the shit that I posted on social media in the past, which like kind of sucks, but I guess like you know, your actions do have consequences, and I just want to say that I do support everyone that gets any sort of like surgery to help with their weight loss or eating, or if they take any prescription medications, because weight loss and eating is very fucking complicated and there's not like a one size fits all answer for everyone. Okay, this is a little bit shady, but I just have to share it because I'm a bitch. So I was scrolling on Instagram the other day and a post from S came up and I realized like I didn't unfollow them, and they posted like something because it was their birthday and they were talking about how it was like the hardest year of their entire life, and I was just like, wow. I mean, obviously I want everyone to have like a good happy life, but it just like kind of confirmed to me that like people that are like the loudest and the meanest on the internet are like actually kind of miserable and not doing well, and a lot of people that are like cyber bullies are actually pretty unhappy. In my opinion, most of the people that make fat acceptance content create the content to make themselves feel better about themselves in the situations that they're in, and like kind of convince themselves that they like themselves or that they love themselves and how they look. I mean, like even from talking about like personal experience, when I was constantly posting about like body positivity in like 2015 or like the fat acceptance stuff in like 2021, like I was constantly posting about my body, posting different angles, posting my stretch marks, like constantly like ranting and raving about like my appearance and stuff, and that was when I was the most unhappy and uncomfortable with myself. But it felt like I was like posting as some sort of cope and to like try and convince myself that I was beautiful, even though like I did not feel like I was. It kind of reminds me of like when people are like in super shitty like unhappy relationships, like they're constantly like posting about like how amazing their partner is or their boyfriend is, but it's like it just feels like they're overcompensating for something. No tea, no shade. Like this is the happiest I've ever been with my body and actually my relationship, but I'm not constantly posting about it. And just to reiterate this one more time in case you also struggle with comprehension skills, I don't hate fat people. I don't think all fat people should be forced to lose weight. I don't care if you are losing weight, if you're gaining weight, if you're maintaining weight. I believe that we all should have the freedom to do whatever the fuck we want. I'm not going to dictate your body if you're not going to dictate mine. I think that people of every shape and size should have basic respect. I don't think that people should be discriminated against because of how they look, but just because you are fat and you're offended about something doesn't mean that you're right, or doesn't mean that someone's fat phobic because they don't agree with you. But I understand it's hard to think critically when you're upset or you're triggered. I think everyone should be able to do whatever they want with their body, but of course like our actions have consequences. Like I have the ability to drive 100 miles per hour in a residential zone, but if I hurt someone and I get pulled over and go to jail, I made my bed and now I have to lie in it. So I've posted on my story a couple times talking about how much weight I've lost and what I've done, so I'm going to film another video talking about that. I am about 50 pounds down since my heaviest of 2022, so I'm gonna film that next and post it soon. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. If you've made it this far, make sure to leave a gravestone emoji. I love you and you're capable of great and amazing things, and don't let anyone convince you elsewise. And if you're curious, here is the long super response that I posted from S.
Now on, I am just going to treat every fat creator who has freshly turned into a weight loss influencer as if they've died. Yesterday I had to block a mutual who had posted a video that I at first thought was satire. Like they were talking about their journey from body positivity into fat acceptance as like a delusion that they were holding.
Thank you for being so respectful when talking about my journey. When I talked about my journey in my video, I was very authentic and very vulnerable. But in case you didn't see that video, I will sum it up, maybe even elaborate, because I don't know why she's thinking it was so negative. In my video, I mentioned that I went on my first diet when I was in kindergarten because I was told I was overweight by my doctor. And then flash forward to about 18 years old, I had an outbreak of my autoimmune disorder. It was my first one. And my autoimmune disorder is called HSP vasculitis. Look it up. It's pretty rare. All the blood vessels in the bottom half of my legs, the calves, literally exploded. And I had open wounds all the way down from my knees to my feet. I still have scars on my legs to this day. I couldn't even show pictures of it on TikTok because it honestly looks like something that came out of a horror movie. And when that was happening, the doctors could not figure out what was wrong with me for a very long time, so I was on steroids and opioids until everything calmed down. And during that time, I gained a lot of weight. I had stretch marks. I felt literally disgusting because my skin was rotting off of me. And during that time, I learned about the body positivity movement. And during that time, I found a lot of comfort and love in the idea of knowing that I have value no matter what I look like, even if I could not love myself in that moment. And I continued being in that body positivity for quite a long time until I found the fat liberation movement, which a lot of us did on TikTok during the lockdown. And again, I found a lot of comfort and safety in that community for years. I never thought it was like some weird psychosis or delusion. It was reality. But as the years went on, I started to realize I didn't really like this community and how they treated other people. And I don't like how this person is treating me or talking about my story.
It's like a delusion that they were holding, but they do in fact have full control over their body and their fatness, and it's their responsibility to lose weight, and everyone else should lose weight too.
See, the thing is, when you are in the fat acceptance movement, they say things like, your genetic makeup is responsible for why you are fat, or fat people can't control that they are fat, and like diets don't work, and intake, outtake isn't real. So when you are involved in these movements, you start to think, I'm so helpless over what I look like in my health. What my body looks like is already determined. And in reality, it's not. My genetics didn't make me fat. Me, during the lockdown, not moving, not going outside, not seeing any friends, eating boxes of pasta by myself, only drinking Diet Dr. Pepper is why I was fat. Never in that video did I say, well, it's my responsibility to lose the fatness. I came to the conclusion that my life is in my control, whether that is my career, my appearance, how much I weigh, my friends, what I'm doing. So guess what? I wanted to work on my health, especially my mental health, because at that time I literally wanted to unalive myself because of all the isolation during the lockdown. My mental health was so bad. So I started seeing a psychiatrist. I got prescribed the right medication. Then I was finally in a good enough mood to start taking my health seriously. So I cut out the Diet Dr. Pepper and I started drinking water. And then slowly I started eating more protein, which these changes literally took years for me to do. During all of those changes, I simultaneously lost weight. I wasn't doing it on purpose until a couple months ago. I decided to take my weight loss a little bit more seriously. In my video, you can go back and watch it. It's still up and still getting tons of hate comments. Nowhere in that fucking video do I say every fat person should take responsibility and lose weight. The whole video was about me and my experience. Not one time did I make a generalization about fat people. Not one time did I degrade them or say anything mean or harass anyone. I literally talked about my journey. You know, it took a lot of courage to post that video because I knew exactly this would happen. When you talk about leaving communities, instead of being like, okay, bye, it was nice having you, they want to start bullying you. And what does that say about a community that just bullies everyone that leaves? I'm more of a libertarian than any of these fat liberation activists because I don't give a flying fuck about what anyone does with their body as long as they're not harming other people. You could go starve yourself. You could go eat 3 boxes of pizza. I don't care because it's not my life. I want everyone to have the best life that they can, but that's out of my control.
To lose weight, and everyone else should lose weight too. So like, as far as I'm concerned, she's dead now. I don't care what anyone does with their body. It's when people start dictating to others, especially fat people, what they should be doing with their bodies that I draw the line.
Again, nowhere in my fucking video did I say every fat person should lose weight. Everyone should do this. I ended the video with a very inspiring message, and all I said was, and you can do this too. You can do it if you want. I'm not saying you should. I'm not holding this up to your head telling you to do this. Because guess what? We're all adults here, and we can all do whatever we want, which includes me.
It's a reminder again about why, unless it's fat liberation, it doesn't mean shit.
And once again, I will say it. I do not care what you do with your body. I don't care about what you look like. I don't care if you're fat. I don't care if you're skinny. I don't care if you're mid-sized. You, me, and everyone else can do whatever the flying fuck they want. Of course, this person blocked me, so I couldn't see this video on my own. One of my mutuals just sent it to me. And I assume that's probably where all of the hate comments came from yesterday.